The space station floated at the edge of known territory. It was old and worn, built decades ago when humans first pushed into this region of space. Paint peeled from the walls. Lights flickered in the corridors. The air recyclers made strange sounds that nobody bothered to fix anymore. But people still came here. Miners stopped on their way to asteroid fields. Traders passed through carrying goods between systems. Travelers rested before continuing their long journeys. And soldiers, both human and alien, came here to forget the things they had seen. In one corner of the station's lower level there was a small bar. The sign above the door said "The Quiet Corner" in faded letters. It was not fancy. It was not famous. But it was clean, the drinks were honest, and the owner asked no questions. Her name was... She stood behind the counter now, wiping a glass with a soft cloth. She was a small woman, perhaps in her 40s, with black hair pulled back in a simple style. Her face was calm and showed nothing. Her movements were slow and careful, like someone who had learned patience the hard way. The bar was quiet tonight. A few miners sat at a table in the corner, speaking in low voices about ore prices and equipment failures. Two alien traders, tall beings with blue skin and 4 arms, played a card game near the window. An old human man sat alone at the counter, nursing a drink and staring at nothing. Liked quiet nights. They gave her time to think, or rather they gave her time to not think, which was even better. She finished cleaning the glass and placed it with the others. The shelves behind her held bottles from dozens of worlds. Some were expensive. Most were cheap. All of them helped people forget their troubles for a while. The door opened and a young man walked in. He was tall and thin, with messy hair and nervous eyes. He carried a box of supplies in his arms. "I got everything on the list," he said, setting the box on the counter. The fruit was expensive, though. The vendor said there was a shipping delay. Nodded, "Thank you." Had worked for her for 6 months now. He was 23 years old and had come to the station looking for work after his family's farm failed on a colony world. He was honest, and though he asked too many questions sometimes. "It's quiet tonight," he said, looking around the bar. "Yes." "Is it always this quiet?" "Sometimes." Waited for more, but said nothing else. He had learned that she was not a person who wasted words. She spoke when necessary and stayed silent when silence was better. He began unpacking the supplies, placing bottles on shelves and fruits in storage. As he worked, he watched from the corner of his eye. She was a mystery to him. She ran this bar alone, never spoke about her past, and seemed to know things that normal bar owners should not know. Once a fight had started between 2 drunk miners. Before could even react, had stepped between them. She said something quiet, something he could not hear, and both men had gone pale. They left without another word and never came back. Another time, a group of pirates had come looking for protection money. They were big men with weapons and cruel smiles, had served them drinks politely, listened to their demands, and then leaned close to their leader. Again, could not hear what she said. But the pirates left their drinks unfinished and practically ran from the bar. What had she told them? What could a small woman say to make hardened criminals flee in fear? Did not know. He was not sure he wanted to know. He finished unpacking and wiped his hands on his apron. "Do you need anything else tonight?" Shook her head. "You can go rest, I will close." "Are you sure I can stay?" "Go," she said, and something in her voice made it final. Nodded and headed toward the back room where he slept. At the door, he paused and looked back. Had returned to cleaning glasses, her face empty of expression, her hands moving in that slow and careful way. He noticed not for the first time the scars on her hands. Thin white lines crossed her fingers and palms. They were old scars, long healed, but they told a story of violence. A story of survival. What had she been before she became a bar owner? Shook his head and went to bed. Some questions were better left unasked. The night grew later. The miners finished their drinks and left. The alien traders completed their game and departed. The old man at the counter finally stood, placed coins on the counter, and walked out without a word. Was alone. She turned off most of the lights, leaving only a dim glow behind the counter. Through the large window, she could see the docking bay outside. Ships came and went at all hours. Their lights blinked in the darkness like distant stars. She poured herself a small drink. Not alcohol, just water with herbs that helped her sleep. She had not slept well in many years. The dreams always came, bringing memories she wanted to forget. The war had ended 15 years ago. 15 years since the last battle, the last mission, the last death. She had been young then, barely 20, when they recruited her for the program. They said she had potential. They said she could serve humanity. They said she would become something greater. They were wrong about the last part. She became something, yes, but not something greater, something darker, something that moved through shadows and left only silence behind. They gave her a number instead of a name. They called her Reaper 7. The seventh Reaper, one of 12 soldiers designed to win wars that could not be won by normal means, trained in every form of combat, enhanced with subtle modifications that made her faster, stronger, more aware, taught to kill in ways that left no evidence, no witnesses, no survivors. She was good at her work, too good. By the war's end, she had completed over 200 missions. She had killed more enemies than she could count. The other species in the galaxy learned to fear the Reapers. They told stories about ghosts that came in the night, about ships found drifting with no living crew, about outposts that went silent and were found empty of all life. The stories were mostly true. When the war ended, the Reapers were quietly retired. Most could not adjust to peace. Some died, some disappeared, some found other wars to fight. Chose differently. She took a new name, a simple name with no history. She traveled to the edge of known space, as far from civilization as possible. She bought a failing bar on a forgotten station and started a new life. 15 years now. 15 years of serving drinks, cleaning glasses, and pretending to be ordinary. 15 years of hoping the past would stay buried. It almost worked. She finished her water and set down the glass. Through the window, she saw a shuttle landing in the docking bay. It was a military shuttle painted in colors she recognized. Colors. Blue and silver, the marks of the Empire. They were a warrior species. Large, powerful, covered in scales that served as natural armor. They had fought against humanity during the war, and the fighting had been brutal. Both sides had committed terrible acts. Both sides had lost countless lives. The war ended in a truce, not a victory. Neither side could defeat the other, so they agreed to stop fighting. Now, officially, humans and were at peace. They traded with each other, worked together, shared stations like this one. But old hatreds died slowly. Many still despised humans. Many humans still hated. The peace was fragile, held together by treaties and trade, not by trust. Watched the shuttle's door open. Several emerged, all wearing civilian clothes. Off-duty soldiers, she guessed, coming to the station for entertainment and relaxation. Most of them headed toward the larger entertainment district on the upper levels. Casinos, clubs, and establishments that catered to those with money to spend. But one split from the group. He was larger than the others, nearly 8 feet tall, with dark green scales and thick arms. He walked with the confidence of someone who had never been challenged. His eyes scanned the station's lower level, looking for something. His gaze found Bar. She felt something cold settle in her stomach. Not fear exactly. She had forgotten how to feel fear long ago, but something close to it. A warning. A sense that the quiet night was about to end. They started walking toward the quiet corner. Set down her cloth and watched him approach. She noted the way he moved, the weight of his steps, the position of his hands. Combat training. Elite, probably. The kind of soldier who fought in the worst battles and survived. the kind of soldier who believed himself unbeatable. She had killed many soldiers like him during the war. They always made the same mistake. They saw her small body and assumed weakness. They saw her calm face and assumed she was afraid. They were always wrong. The door opened and they stepped inside. His head nearly touched the ceiling. His eyes swept the empty room and settled on behind the counter. A slow smile spread across his face. "A human bar," he said. His voice was deep and rough like stones grinding together. "How primitive." Said nothing. The walked to the counter and looked down at her. Up close, she could see the scars on his scales. Battle marks. This was not a soldier who stayed behind the lines. "I am," he said, "3rd Assault Division, retired, and you are the owner of this pathetic place." "I am." "You are small for a human." "Yes." Laughed. It was an ugly sound full of contempt. "I heard humans were weak, soft, easily broken. Is this true?" Did not answer. She reached for a glass and began filling it with water. "I asked you a question, human." "I heard you," she said. "Would you like a drink?" Smile faded. He was not used to being ignored. He placed both hands on the counter and leaned forward, bringing his face close to hers. "I would like respect," he growled, "or I will teach you what happens to humans who forget their place." Looked into his eyes. She saw arrogance there, cruelty, the certainty that he was the most dangerous thing in this room. He was wrong. But she was tired. Tired of fighting, tired of killing, tired of being what they made her. She just wanted one quiet night, one evening without blood. "There is no trouble here," she said softly. "Only drinks and rest. Please sit. The first drink is free." Stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed again and straightened up. "Free drinks? Perhaps you humans are not entirely stupid." He pulled out a chair and sat down heavily. The furniture creaked under his weight. "Bring me your strongest alcohol. I want to see what human poison tastes like." Selected a bottle and poured a generous glass. She placed it before him and stepped back. Grabbed the glass and drained it in one swallow. He slammed it down and grinned. "Not bad, more." She poured again, and again, and again. As the night continued, watched and waited, she knew what was coming. She had seen it before many times. The alcohol would make him bold. The boldness would make him cruel, and the cruelty would make him stupid. She hoped she was wrong. She was not. After his 6th drink, his eyes began to wander. He looked around the bar again, seeing the worn furniture, the simple decorations, the quiet emptiness. "This place disgusts me," he muttered. "Humans disgust me. Weak, small, pathetic creatures. In the war we crushed you like insects." Said nothing. "I killed many of your kind," continued. His words were becoming slurred. "On Nu we burned entire cities. The screaming was beautiful. The humans ran, but they could not escape. We caught them all." His hand stopped moving. She knew that name. Everyone knew that name. 4,000 dead in one day, said proudly. "Perhaps more. We did not count. Why count insects?" Something shifted in the air. Something cold and heavy, like the moment before a storm breaks. But only nodded and poured another drink. "The night is growing late," she said quietly. "Perhaps you should return to your ship." Laughed and grabbed her wrist. His grip was strong enough to break bones. "Perhaps I should stay," he said. "Perhaps you should show me proper hospitality, or perhaps I should remind you what to do to humans who displease them." Looked at his hand on her wrist, then she looked at his face. "Please let go," she said. "Make me." Silence filled the bar. Outside, a ship departed and its lights faded into darkness. Took a slow breath. 15 years of peace. 15 years of pretending. 15 years of hopping she could become someone else. It was never going to last. "I asked politely," she said. "I will not ask again." Tightened his grip and leaned closer. "What will you do, little human? Cry, beg, I have broken creatures twice your size, you are nothing, you are. He stopped, because he finally saw her eyes. Empty, cold, patient, the eyes of something that had moved through darkness and left only death behind. Had faced many enemies in his long career. He had killed warriors from a dozen species. He had survived battles that slaughtered thousands. But in that moment, looking into those empty eyes, he felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. And in the back room, woke to the sound of something breaking. The quiet night was over. Sat up in his small bed, heart pounding. The sound that woke him was sharp and sudden, like wood cracking under great pressure. It came from the bar. He threw off his blanket and ran to the door. His hands were shaking as he pushed it open and looked into the main room. The scene before him made no sense. The massive soldier was bent over the counter. His face was pressed against the wood which had cracked under the impact. Blood ran from his nose, green and thick. His arm was twisted behind his back at an angle that looked wrong, held in place by a small hand. Hand. She stood beside him, calm and still like a statue carved from ice. Her expression showed nothing. No anger, no fear, no satisfaction, just emptiness. I asked you to let go, she said quietly. You did not listen. Roared with fury. He was twice her size and many times her weight. He should have been able to throw her across the room with a simple motion. But when he tried to move, she twisted his arm slightly and he screamed in pain. Your shoulder will break if you struggle, she told him. The joint is already stressed. 1 more centimeter and the bone will separate. Release me, demanded. I am a soldier of the Empire. You will pay for this insult with your life. Tilted her head slightly, considering his words. Perhaps, she said, but not tonight. She released him and stepped back, putting the counter between them. Her movement was smooth and fast, like water flowing over rocks. Straightened up, clutching his injured arm, his face twisted with rage. Blood dripped from his broken nose and splattered on the floor. You dare to touch me, he snarled. You dare to injure me. I will tear you apart, human. I will make you scream for days before you die. You should leave now, said, while you still can. Pressed himself against the wall, trying to understand what he was seeing. This could not be real. Was a bar owner, a quiet woman who cleaned glasses and served drinks. She could not possibly hurt a soldier. But she had. Laughed a harsh and ugly sound. You think one lucky move makes you dangerous. You think you can fight me. I have killed hundreds in battle. I have crushed enemies with my bare hands. You are nothing but a weak human woman. He charged at her. Wanted to scream a warning, but his voice caught in his throat. He could only watch as the massive alien rushed forward, arms outstretched, ready to grab and destroy. Did not run, she did not even move. Until the last moment. Then she was simply not where expected her to be. His hands closed on empty air. He stumbled forward off balance and her palm struck his chest. It looked gentle, almost soft. But the impact sent him crashing backward into a table, which shattered under his weight. Your stance is too wide, said. You rely on strength instead of technique. This is a common mistake among the. Struggled to his feet, pieces of broken table falling from his body. His eyes were wild now, confused and angry. He had fought countless battles. He had faced enemies from a dozen worlds. No one had ever moved like this. What are you? He demanded. I'm a bar owner, replied. Please leave my establishment. Roared and charged again. This time he swung his massive fist in a wide arc, a blow that could have punched through metal walls. Ducked beneath it, her body bending at an angle that seemed impossible. Her fingers jabbed upward, striking a spot beneath his arm. His left arm went limp. He stared at it in horror as it hung uselessly at his side. Nerve cluster, explained. The feeling will return in a few hours, perhaps. She was already moving again, circling around him like a shadow. Her feet made no sound on the floor. Her breathing remained slow and steady, unchanged by the exertion. Finally found his voice. What is happening?" She did not answer. Her attention remained on who was swinging wildly with his one good arm. Each blow missed. Each miss left him more exposed, and each time he left an opening struck. A jab to his knee made him stumble. A palm strike to his ribs cracked something inside. A finger poke to his eye blinded him temporarily. She was taking him apart piece by piece, as methodically as someone dismantling a machine. "Stop," screamed. "Stop, this is not possible." He tried to retreat, backing toward the door. Let him go. She stood in the center of the ruined bar, surrounded by broken furniture, watching him with those empty eyes. "You may leave now," she said. But did not leave. His hand reached behind his back and pulled out a knife. It was a combat blade, curved and sharp, designed to slice through armor. "I will gut you like an animal," he snarled. "I will hang your body outside as a warning to all humans." Sighed, it was a small sound, tired and sad. "I hoped you would not do that," she said quietly. Attacked with the knife. He was fast, trained, deadly with the blade. He thrust and slashed in patterns designed to kill quickly. Any normal person would have been cut to pieces in seconds. Was not normal. She moved through his attacks like a ghost. Her hands guided his blade away, redirecting each strike by millimeters. Her body twisted and turned, always just out of reach. She made it look effortless, like a dance she had practiced 1,000 times. And then she took the knife. Did not see how it happened. One moment held the weapon. The next moment held it and was on his knees clutching a broken wrist. She examined the blade briefly, then set it on the counter. "Steel," she said. "Good quality, but you hold it wrong, the grip should be looser. Too much tension slows your movements." Looked up at her from his knees. His face had changed. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something else, something that looked like terror. "What are you?" he whispered again. Studied him for a moment. Then she pulled out a chair, the only one still intact, and sat down facing him. Her hands rested on her knees. Her posture was relaxed, almost casual. "I am tired," she said. "I have been tired for 15 years. I came here to find peace. I opened this bar because I wanted a quiet life. I wanted to serve drinks and clean glasses and forget what I used to be." She paused, looking at the broken tables and scattered debris around them. "But people like you make it difficult. You come here with your pride and your cruelty, thinking you are strong, thinking you can hurt others without consequence, thinking the universe belongs to you." Her voice remained calm, almost gentle, but something in her words made shrink back. "I have tried to be patient. I have tried to walk away from violence. Every day I tell myself that the killing is over, that I can be someone else now. And every day, someone like you appears to remind me what I really am." "Please," said. The word came out broken, barely a whisper. "Please do not kill me." Looked at him for a long moment. "I do not want to kill you," she said finally. "I am so very tired of killing, but you should understand something before you leave." She leaned forward slightly. During the war, there was a program. A secret program that created soldiers who were not quite human anymore. They were faster, stronger, more dangerous than anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were called Reapers. His face went pale. Even among the Reapers were legends. Ghost stories told to frighten young warriors. Demons that came in the night and left only death behind. "The stories said there were 12 of them," continued. "They said each one was worth 1,000 normal soldiers. They said the Reapers could not be killed, could not be stopped, could not be beaten by any means." She stood up slowly, and even that simple motion held a dangerous grace. "The stories were wrong about many things. We could be killed. Several of us died during the war. We could be stopped under certain circumstances, and we could be beaten, though it was rare." She walked past toward the bar. Behind her, he trembled on his knees, too frightened to move. "But the stories were right about one thing," she said, pouring herself a glass of water. "We were very, very good at our work." She drank slowly, then set down the glass. "My designation was Reaper 7. I completed 217 missions during the Frontier War. I destroyed 4 enemy warships single-handedly. I eliminated 11 high-ranking officers of the command structure. I was considered the most effective of all 12 Reapers." She turned to look at him. "When the war ended, I was officially listed as dead. It was easier that way. The other species would not have accepted peace if they knew I was still alive, so I disappeared. I changed my name. I came here to the edge of nothing to run a bar and forget." Was crying now. Green tears rolled down his scaled face. He had stopped trying to speak. "You mentioned new earlier," said. Her voice dropped lower. "You spoke of it with pride. 4,000 dead, you said, perhaps more." She walked closer to him, her steps slow and deliberate. "I had family on Nu, a brother, his wife, their young son. They were civilians. They had nothing to do with the war, but your people did not care. You killed everyone, men, women, children, you burned them all." She stopped directly in front of and looked down at him. "I was not there when it happened. I was on a mission far away doing the work they made me to do. By the time I heard the news, it was too late. My family was dead. My nephew, who was only 5 years old, was dead, and there was nothing I could do." Her hands remained at her sides. She made no threatening move, but whimpered like a frightened child. "I wanted to find the soldiers who did it. I wanted to hunt them down one by one and make them pay. But the war ended before I could. The treaty was signed. Peace was declared. And I was told to forget, to move on, to accept that vengeance would only cause more suffering." She knelt down until her face was level with his. "I have tried to accept this. For 15 years I have tried. Some days I almost succeed. But then someone like you appears, bragging about the innocent people you murdered, and I remember why I became what I am." "I did not," started. "I was not." "Do not lie to me," said softly. "I can see the truth in your eyes. You were there, you killed civilians. Perhaps you even killed children." Had no response. His silence was answer enough. Stood up again and stepped back. "I should kill you," she said. "Part of me wants to. The part that remembers my nephew's laugh, his small hands, the way he called me aunt, even though we were not related by blood. That part of me wants to tear you apart slowly, to make you feel every moment of pain that those civilians felt when your people burned them." She walked to the door and opened it. "But I am trying to be something else now. I am trying to be more than what they made me. So I will let you leave. You will return to your ship. You will never come back to this station. And you will never speak of what happened here tonight." Scrambled to his feet, cradling his broken wrist and his limp arm. He stumbled toward the door, barely able to walk. At the threshold, he paused and looked back. His eyes were still filled with terror. "Who are you really?" he asked. "What name did they give you?" Smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of something ancient and tired and infinitely dangerous. "They called me many things," she said. "Ghost, shadow, death's hand, but the one that stuck was simpler." She leaned close and whispered in his ear. "They called me the Reaper, and now you know why." Ran. He did not walk, did not stumble, but ran as fast as his injured body could carry him. Within moments, he had disappeared into the station's corridors. Watched him go, then closed the door. Behind her stood frozen against the wall. His face was white with shock. His hands were shaking. She looked at him, and her expression softened slightly. "I am sorry you had to see that," she said. "I tried to avoid violence." Opened his mouth but could not find words. Sighed and walked toward him. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Go back to bed," she said. "Tomorrow we will clean up this mess. Tomorrow I will try to be a bar owner again. And tomorrow, if you want to leave, I will understand." She released him and began picking up pieces of broken furniture. Watched her for a long moment. Then he walked slowly back to his room and closed the door. In the main room, alone among the wreckage, continued cleaning. Her hands were steady, her face was empty, and somewhere deep inside, in the place where she kept her darkest memories, something stirred and remembered the smell of blood. The night was silent now, but she knew the silence would not last. It never did. 3 days passed after the incident with 3 days of cleaning, repairing, and pretending that nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Moved differently around now. He kept his distance, watched her from the corners of his eyes, jumped slightly when she spoke to him suddenly. He was afraid of her. She could see it in every motion he made. She did not blame him. On the 4th day, new tables and chairs arrived from a supplier on a neighboring station. Helped her arrange them while customers began to trickle back in. Word had spread about the fight, though the details were confused. Some said a soldier had tried to rob the bar. Others said a gang had attacked. A few whispered about something else entirely, something darker, but they spoke too quietly for anyone to hear clearly. Business continued, drinks were poured, credits exchanged hands. Life went on as it always did. But felt something in the air, a tension that had not existed before, a sense that something was coming. She was right. On the 7th night after the incident, 3 entered her bar. They were not soldiers. She could tell immediately from the way they moved, the way they carried themselves. These were something else. Intelligence officers, perhaps, or investigators. They wore civilian clothes, but their eyes were sharp and watchful. The leader was female, taller than had been, with pale gray scales and a scar running down her face. She walked to the counter and sat down, studying with cold calculation. "You are the owner?" she asked. "Yes, I am. I have questions about an incident that occurred here recently." Continued polishing a glass. "Many incidents occur here. This is a bar. 1 week ago, a soldier of the Empire was injured on these premises. He claims he was attacked without provocation. He claims incorrectly." His eyes narrowed. "You admit to the attack?" "I admit to defending myself. The soldier was drunk. He grabbed my wrist. He threatened to kill me. He drew a weapon. I responded appropriately." One human woman, responding appropriately, broke a warrior's wrist and dislocated his shoulder. Set down the glass. "Yes." The 2 other exchanged glances, did not move. Her eyes remained fixed on his face. "Was a decorated soldier. He served in 3 campaigns. He killed many enemies in combat." "And yet here we are," said. A long silence stretched between them. Working at the other end of the bar had stopped moving. The few other customers were very carefully not watching. "Who are you?" asked finally. "Really?" I own this bar." "Your records are incomplete. No birth certificate, no education history, no employment before you arrived here 15 years ago. It is as if you appeared from nothing. Records can be lost. The frontier is not known for good administration." Leaned forward. "Describe the fight to me in detail." He said you moved like nothing he had ever seen. He said you struck pressure points with surgical accuracy. He said you knew anatomy better than most doctors. Said nothing. "He used a word I had not heard in many years," continued. "He called you a reaper." The word hung in the air like a blade. "Was drunk and humiliated," said calmly. He told himself stories to explain his defeat. "The reapers are myths, legends from the war. I am simply a woman who knows how to defend herself." "The reapers were not myths." His voice was hard. "I know this because I fought them, twice. I survived only because they chose to let me live." She pulled back her sleeve to reveal deep scars on her arm. "One of them did this to me on station. She could have killed me easily, but she only disabled my weapon arm and moved on. I was not worth her time. I was nothing to her, just an obstacle. Her eyes locked with. I have wondered about that moment for 15 years. Why did she spare me? Why did she not finish what she started? I never found an answer. Met her gaze without blinking. Perhaps she was tired of killing. Perhaps, studied her face. The Reaper who attacked me had dark hair. She was small like you, moved like water. Her eyes were empty. Many people have dark hair. Her designation was Reaper 7. Silence again. The other had their hands on concealed weapons, was backed against the wall, trembling. Took a slow breath. What do you want? The truth. The truth is dangerous. I have never been afraid of danger, leaned back slightly. I am not here for revenge. The war ended. We lost. We accepted peace because the alternative was extinction, and we accepted peace partly because the Reapers were reported dead. Perhaps they are. Perhaps, or perhaps at least one of them is standing behind this counter, pretending to be a simple bar owner. Was quiet for a moment, then she reached under the counter. The two others drew their weapons instantly, pointing them at her chest, but only pulled out a bottle and 3 glasses. This is my best alcohol, she said. From Earth, very old, very expensive. I save it for special occasions. She poured 3 glasses and slid one toward. If I were a Reaper, you would already be dead. Your 2 guards would be on the floor, their weapons disassembled, and I would be having this conversation with your supervisor instead of you. Looked at the glass but did not drink. But you are not dead, continued, and I am still pouring drinks, so perhaps it does not matter what I used to be. Perhaps it only matters what I am now. She lifted her own glass and took a small sip. I am a bar owner. I serve drinks. I want nothing except to be left alone. I am not a threat to the Empire or anyone else. The war is over. The past is over. Let it stay buried. Remained motionless for a long time. Then slowly she picked up the glass and drank. This is good alcohol, she said. I told you. Set down the empty glass. She gestured to her companions, and they lowered their weapons. Was a fool. He was always a fool. During the war, he bragged about killing civilians. He took pleasure in cruelty. Many of us despised him, but he had powerful connections. She stood up. If a human bar owner defended herself against his attacks, that is her right. If she happened to possess unusual skills, that is her business. The Empire has no official interest in this matter. She walked toward the door. At the threshold, she paused and looked back. But I will remember this conversation, and I will remember your eyes. Many people remember eyes, said. It does not mean anything. Smiled slightly. It was an odd expression on her face. The Reaper who attacked me said something before she let me go. She said, remember that you lived because I chose it. Remember that mercy is not weakness. I have thought about those words many times. She opened the door. I think I understand them now. Goodbye, bar owner. I hope you find the peace you are looking for. She left, her companions followed. The door closed behind them. Stood still for a moment, then finished her drink and began cleaning the glasses. Her hands were steady. Her face showed nothing. But inside, something was shifting. The walls she had built were cracking. The past was leaking through. Approached slowly. Are you all right? Yes. They knew about you, about what you were. They suspected. Knowing and suspecting are different things. But she was right, wasn't she? His voice trembled. You are the Reaper. You are Reaper 7. Continued cleaning. She did not answer. I have been searching the network since that night, said. Looking for information. Most of it is classified, but there are rumors, stories, fragments. They say the Reapers were superhuman. They say Reaper 7 was the deadliest of them all. They say she destroyed entire ships by herself. Stories are often exaggerated. Are they? Stepped closer. On the night attacked, I saw you move. I saw what you did to him. That was not exaggeration, that was real. stopped cleaning and looked at him. "What do you want me to say? That I am a monster, that I killed hundreds of people during the war, that the hands pouring your drinks are the same hands that ended countless lives?" Her voice was flat, without emotion. "Yes, all of that is true. I am what they made me. I did what they trained me to do, and when the war ended I tried to become something else. I tried to leave the killing behind." She set down the glass. "Some days I almost succeed. Some days I can pretend I am just a woman who runs a bar. Some days the memories fade and I can breathe without seeing faces of the dead." She looked at directly. "But the truth is I will never escape what I am. The training is too deep. The instincts are too strong. When attacked, I did not choose to fight. Fighting chose me. My body moved before my mind could catch up." Was silent for a long moment. "Why did you spare him?" he asked finally. "You could have killed him easily. Why let him live?" "Because I am tired of death." His voice softened slightly. "Because every life I take adds weight to my soul. Because I want to believe that I can be more than a weapon." She picked up the glass again and resumed cleaning. "I spare everyone I can, even when they do not deserve it, even when part of me wants to finish them. Because if I give in, if I let the Reaper take control, I will never find my way back." Considered this. Then slowly, he walked behind the counter and picked up a cloth. "What are you doing?" asked. "Helping clean." "After everything you have learned, you are staying." Shrugged. "You gave me a job when no one else would. You treat me fairly. You pay on time. And you did not kill the man who attacked you, even though you could have." He began wiping down the counter. "My grandmother used to say that everyone carries darkness. What matters is what we do with it. You carry more darkness than most, but you are trying to do good. That counts for something." Watched him work. Something in her chest loosened slightly. "You are not afraid of me." "I am terrified of you," admitted, "but I am also grateful, and I think that matters more." They cleaned in silence for a while. The bar was empty now, all the customers having left during the confrontation with the investigators. "There will be more," said eventually. "Talked. The woman knew. Soon others will know too. They will come looking for the Reaper." "What will you do?" "What I always do. Try to avoid violence. Try to maintain peace. Try to give people chances to walk away." "And if they don't walk away?" Did not answer immediately. She finished cleaning the last glass and placed it on the shelf. "Then I will do what I must," she said quietly, "and pray that one day I will not have to anymore." That night after went to bed, sat alone in the dark bar. Through the window, she watched ships come and go in the docking bay. Lights blinked in the eternal darkness of space. She thought about's words, about the Reaper who had spared her 15 years ago. Did not know it, but that Reaper had been herself. She remembered the mission clearly. She remembered the young officer, wounded and defenseless, looking up at her with eyes full of fear. She had let her live. At that moment she could not explain why. Perhaps even then, something inside her was growing tired. Perhaps even then she was searching for a way out. Now, 15 years later, that young officer had tracked her down. Not for revenge, but for understanding. To make sense of a moment of mercy that had haunted her. Life was strange. The universe was stranger. Finished her water and stood up. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, more customers, more questions, perhaps more violence. But tonight she would try to sleep. Tonight she would try to remember what peace felt like. And somewhere in the station's data networks, her name was spreading. Whispers passed between traders. Messages traveled to distant ships. Stories grew, and the Reaper was alive. The Reaper ran a bar at the edge of space. The Reaper could be found. Some heard these stories and felt fear. Some heard them and felt curiosity. And some heard them and began to make plans. The quiet was ending. The storm was coming. And waited, as she always did, for whatever came next. Weeks passed. The stories spread faster than light, carried by traders and travelers across the frontier. At first, nothing changed. Business continued as usual. Miners came for cheap drinks. Traders came for quiet corners. Travelers came to rest before long journeys. The quiet corner remained what it had always been, a simple establishment in a forgotten corner of space. But notice changes. Small things at first. Customers who stayed too long, watching her instead of drinking. Ships that docked but no one disembarked. Communication signals she could not trace. Someone was watching her, many someones probably. She did not run. Running would confirm what they suspected. Instead, she maintained her routine. Open at the same time, close at the same time, pour drinks, clean glasses, smile politely at customers, pretend to be ordinary. The first visitor came on a Tuesday. He was human, middle-aged, wearing expensive clothes that did not match the station. He sat at the counter and ordered a drink he did not touch. "I represent a private security corporation," he said. "We have contracts across the frontier, important clients who need important protection." "Congratulations," said. "We are looking for specialists, people with unique skills, people who can handle situations that others cannot." "I make drinks, that is my only skill." The man smiled. It did not reach his eyes. "We have heard different stories. Stories about a woman who defeated a soldier with her bare hands. Stories about movements that should be impossible. Stories about a ghost from the war." Continued wiping the counter. "People tell many stories, most are lies." "Perhaps, but we are willing to pay substantial credits to find out the truth." He slid a card across the counter. "Think about it. We could make you very wealthy." Looked at the card without touching it. "I am wealthy enough. I have a bar, I have peace. That is all I need." The man's smile faded. "Peace is temporary. The galaxy is dangerous. A woman alone cannot protect herself forever." "I have managed so far." He stood up, leaving the untouched drink behind. "You will reconsider. They always do." He left, threw the card in the trash. The second visitor came 3 days later. She was younger than had been, wearing military insignia that did not recognize. New regiment, probably formed after the war. "The Empire has need of trainers," she said. "Experts who can teach our soldiers to fight better. Someone with your apparent experience could be valuable." "I am a bar owner." "Our records show that you may be more than that." "Your records are wrong." The young officer frowned. "The Empire pays well, and we can offer protection, safety, a new identity if you prefer. Many former soldiers have found purpose serving the Empire." "I served humanity during the war. Why would I help the now?" "The war is over. Old loyalties mean nothing. Only credits matter." Smiled without warmth. "Then you do not understand loyalty at all." The officer left angry, did not care. The third visitor was more interesting. He was alien, but from a species had never seen before. Short and round, with skin that shifted colors as he spoke. His eyes were large and expressive, and his voice was surprisingly soft. "I am not here to recruit you," he said immediately. "I am a historian. I collect stories of the war, especially the parts that official records do not include." Poured him a drink. "That sounds like dangerous work." "It is. Many people want the war forgotten. They want the ugly truths buried. But I believe history deserves honesty." "Why come to me?" The historian smiled. "Because the Reapers are the biggest gap in our understanding. 12 soldiers who changed the course of the war. 12 ghosts who became legends. And now, possibly, one of them running a bar at the edge of space." "Possibly," said. "I do not want to expose you. I do not want to sell your story to the highest bidder. I simply want to understand. What was it like? What did you experience? What made you different from other soldiers?" Was quiet for a long moment. "If I were a Reaper," she said slowly, "what would you want to know?" The historian leaned forward eagerly. Everything, the training, the modifications, the missions, but most of all I would want to know how it felt. Were you afraid? Did you feel guilt? Did you have choices, or were you simply weapons controlled by others? Considered his questions. Weapons do not feel, she said finally. Weapons do not choose, they are pointed at targets and they fire, that is all. But you are not a weapon. Perhaps I was once, perhaps I still am sometimes. The difference is unclear. The historian nodded slowly. And now, what are you now? I am trying to find out, refilled his drink. Some days I think I am becoming human again. Some days I am not sure I ever was. They talked for hours. The historian asked careful questions and gave careful answers. She did not confirm anything directly, but she also did not deny. It was the most honest conversation she had in years. When he left, the historian pressed a small device into her hand. My contact information, he said. If you ever want to tell your story properly, reach out. I would listen without judgment. Watched him go. Then she put the device in a drawer, not the trash. More visitors came. Some wanted to hire her. Some wanted to fight her. Some wanted to capture her for various governments offering rewards. None succeeded. Dealt with each situation differently. Those who came peacefully were turned away peacefully. Those who came with weapons were disarmed and ejected. Those who came with bad intentions were given clear warnings. Most listened to the warnings, a few did not. Those few learned painful lessons. One night a group of bounty hunters surrounded the bar. There were 6 of them, armed with military-grade weapons, protected by armor that could stop standard firearms. They had been hired by someone wealthy, though they refused to say who. Come quietly, their leader said. Resist and we use force. Stepped outside and closed the door behind her. Watched from the window, terrified. You have made a mistake, she said calmly. The leader laughed. 6 against 1, the math is clear. The math is always misleading. She moved. Tried to follow what happened next, but his eyes could not keep up. One moment, 6 armed hunters stood in a circle around. The next moment, all 6 were on the ground, groaning and clutching various injuries. Their weapons lay scattered across the docking bay, disassembled into harmless pieces. Had not drawn any weapon. She had not broken a sweat. She simply walked back inside and resumed cleaning glasses. The hunters limped away eventually. They did not return. Word spread further. The Reaper was real. The Reaper was dangerous. The Reaper was not to be touched. Some people heard this and stayed away. Others heard this and became more determined. A month after the bounty hunters, a message arrived for. It was encrypted, difficult to trace, and contained only 3 lines. I know what you are. I know what you did. We need to talk. There was no signature, no return address, just coordinates for a meeting point on the station's upper level. Should have ignored it. She should have deleted the message and continued her routine. The smart choice was to avoid anything that might complicate her quiet life. But something about the message felt familiar. The wording, the tone, the careful precision of the encryption. She knew that style. She had used it herself long ago. On the appointed night, she left in charge of the bar and walked to the meeting point. It was a small observation deck overlooking the docking bay, empty at this hour. Stars filled the viewport like scattered diamonds. A figure waited in the shadows, human-shaped, familiar posture. You came, the figure said, a woman's voice rough from disuse. I almost didn't, replied. Who are you? The figure stepped forward into the light. She was older than remembered. Her hair had gone gray. Her face was lined with years and weariness, but her eyes were the same, empty and cold and patient. Hello, 7, she said. It's been a long time. His breath caught. 4. What's left of her? They stood facing each other, 2 ghosts from a dead war. They told me you died on Prime, said. They showed me the mission report. no survivors. Reports can be, I died officially. That was easier than explaining why I wanted to disappear. You disappeared for 15 years. No contact, nothing. I could say the same about you, 7. 4 walked closer. We all dealt with the aftermath differently. Some of us chose to keep fighting. Some chose to end everything. Some, like you and me, chose to vanish. Why contact me now? 4 looked out at the stars. Because things are changing. The peace is fragile. Old powers are moving again, and someone is hunting the remaining Reapers. Tensed, hunting us. 3 died last month. 8 died 2 months before that. Not accidents, targeted assassinations. Someone knows we survived and they want us gone. Who? I don't know yet, but I'm trying to find out. 4 turned to face her. I'm not asking you to fight again. I know you want peace. I know you're tired, but you need to know the truth. She handed a data chip. Everything I've gathered, patterns, connections, suspicions, read it, decide for yourself what to do. Took the chip, and you, what are you going to do? Keep digging, keep moving, stay alive. 4 smiled slightly. It was a sad expression. I miss the old days sometimes, when things were simple, when we knew exactly what to do and why. Things were never simple, we just pretended they were. Maybe, 4 began walking away. Take care of yourself, 7. You were always the best of us. Whatever happens, remember that. She disappeared into the shadows. A moment later, heard a transport launch in the docking bay below. She stood alone on the observation deck, holding the data chip. The stars continued their eternal dance outside the viewport. Someone was hunting Reapers. Someone wanted them all dead. And despite her best efforts, despite 15 years of hiding, the past was catching up to her. She could run. She could find another station, another identity, another bar in another forgotten corner of space. She could spend the rest of her life running. Or she could face whatever was coming. Looked at the data chip in her hand. She thought about the quiet bar she had built, the peace she had fought for, the life she was trying to create. She thought about who had stayed despite his fear, about the customers who came every day, about the small community that had grown around her establishment. Running meant leaving all of that behind. Running meant admitting that she would never truly escape the past. She closed her fist around the data chip. Tomorrow she would read what 4 had given her. Tomorrow she would start making plans. Tomorrow the bar owner would remember how to be a Reaper again. But tonight she walked back to the quiet corner and poured herself a drink. Tonight she sat in the darkness and listened to the hum of the station around her. Tonight she allowed herself one more moment of peace. The storm was coming. But she had weathered storms before. And she was still standing. The data chip contained more than expected. 4 had been busy during her years of silence. She had tracked the surviving Reapers, monitored government communications, built a network of informants across the frontier. The information she gathered painted a disturbing picture. Someone inside the Galactic Union was systematically eliminating former Reapers. Not random attacks, not accidents. Carefully planned assassinations designed to look like natural causes or unfortunate circumstances. The pattern was clear once you knew where to look. 3 dead from equipment failure on a mining platform. 8 killed in a random pirate attack. 12 vanished completely, last seen entering a station that later reported no record of their arrival. Someone was cleaning house, erasing the evidence of what humanity had created during the war, making sure the Reapers were truly dead this time. Studied the data for 3 days. She cross-referenced names and dates. She traced money flows and communication patterns. She used skills she had not touched in 15 years. Finally, she found the connection. The attacks were coordinated through a shell company called Sunrise Holdings. On paper, it was a legitimate investment firm. In reality, it was a front for something much darker, and Sunrise Holdings had ties to a name recognized. Admiral Park. He had been one of the architects of the Reaper program, the man who designed their training protocols, the man who sent them on missions, the man who treated them as tools instead of people. When the war ended, Park had survived the political fallout. He had knowledge of the program's worst excesses. He claimed he was simply following orders. He rebuilt his career in the peaceful era, rising to a position of power in the new government. But apparently, he was worried. Worried that the surviving Reapers might talk. Worried that his secrets might come to light. Worried enough to spend considerable resources hunting them down. Set down the data chip. Her hands were steady, but her mind was racing. She had two choices. She could continue hiding, hoping that Park's assassins would never find her, or she could take action, confronting the threat before it reached her door. Neither choice was good, but one was better than the other. She began making preparations. Word went out through careful channels, to four, wherever she was hiding, to other surviving Reapers if any could be reached, to contacts and allies from the old days. The message was simple: we need to talk, it's time to end this. Weeks passed, responses trickled in, some agreed, some refused, some never answered at all. In the end, 5 Reapers gathered at a secret location, 5 out of 12. The others were dead, missing, or unwilling to emerge from their hiding places. Looked at the faces around the table. 4 was there, of course. Also 2, a massive man with gentle eyes who had retired to farming. Also 9, a small woman who spoke rarely but listened to everything. Also 11, the youngest of them, who had been only 17 when the program recruited him. "We all know why we're here," said. "Park is hunting us. He won't stop until we're all dead." "Then we kill him first," 2 said simply. "It's not that simple. He has protection, resources, political connections. If we assassinate him openly, we become war criminals. We give them exactly what they need to justify eliminating us." 9 leaned forward. "What do you suggest?" "Exposure. We release everything we know about the program, the illegal experiments, the unauthorized missions, the war crimes that were covered up. We make the truth impossible to ignore." "That exposes us too," 11 said. "Everything we did, the people we killed, they'll come after us with everything they have." "They're already coming after us. At least this way, we control the narrative. At least this way, the public knows the truth." 4 nodded slowly. "She's right. Hiding only delays the inevitable. If we're going to die, let's die with our eyes open." They debated for hours, arguments for and against, risks and benefits, what they might gain, what they would certainly lose. In the end, they agreed. The release was coordinated carefully. Multiple sources, multiple channels, impossible to suppress or contain, documents, videos, testimony, evidence that could not be. The galaxy reacted with shock. The Reaper program had been rumored for years, but hard evidence had never existed. Now it did. The public learned about the children who were taken and transformed into weapons, the unethical modifications, the missions that violated every law of war, the soldiers who were discarded when they were no longer useful. And they learned about Admiral Park, his role in creating the program, his orders that led to countless deaths, his attempts to silence the survivors. The political fallout was immediate and severe. Park was arrested, his allies scattered, investigations opened into dozens of related crimes. The comfortable lies of the post-war era crumbled under the weight of truth. But there were consequences for the Reapers too. Public opinion was divided. Some saw them as victims, children who had been exploited and abused. Others saw them as monsters, killers who should face justice for their crimes. Watched the debates from her bar. She did not participate. She did not give interviews or make public statements. She simply continued her routine, serving drinks and cleaning glasses, while the galaxy argued about her fate. approached her one evening. "They're talking about you on the news, all of you." "I know. Some people want you arrested. Others are calling you heroes. It's complicated." Smiled slightly. "Life is always complicated." "What are you going to do?" "What I've been doing, run this bar, serve drinks, try to live in peace." Shook his head in amazement. "After everything that's happened, after everything that might happen." "I cannot control what others do. I can only control myself. Whatever comes, I will face it, but I will not run anymore. I will not hide anymore. This is my home now. These are my people. I will stay." Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. The political situation stabilized slowly. Park was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. The remaining Reapers were granted amnesty in exchange for their cooperation with investigations. The program was officially recognized and condemned. Some Reapers chose to disappear again, returning to their hidden lives. Others emerged fully, embracing their new roles as advocates and witnesses. Each made their own choice. Chose to stay at her bar. But things were different now. People knew who she was. They came from across the sector to see the famous Reaper. Some were curious, some were afraid, some wanted to thank her, some wanted to challenge her. She treated all of them the same, politely, patiently, without judgment. One day, a young woman arrived at the station. She was thin and frightened, with bruises on her face and eyes that had seen too much hardship. She approached the bar hesitantly, as if expecting to be turned away. "I heard this was a safe place," she said quietly. "I heard the owner protects people who need protection." Studied her carefully. She saw fear, desperation, the particular damage that came from years of abuse. "What is your name?" she asked. "What are you running from?" The young woman hesitated. "My employer. He owns a mining operation 3 sectors away. He treats his workers like slaves. When I tried to leave, he hurt me." She pulled back her sleeve to reveal scars on her arm. "He said if I ever ran, he would find me and make an example of me. He has connections, resources, men who hunt down escaped workers." Listened without interrupting. "I don't have money," continued. "I don't have skills. I have nothing to offer. But I heard stories about a woman who stands up to people like him, a woman who protects the powerless." She looked up with desperate hope. "Please, I just need somewhere safe, just for a while, until I can figure out what to do next." Was quiet for a long moment. She remembered what it felt like to be alone and afraid. She remembered the years when she had no choices, no control, no hope. She remembered what she had promised herself when she opened this bar. "You can stay," she said. "There is a room in the back. It is not large, but it is clean. You can work here while you recover. I will pay fair wages." His eyes filled with tears. Thank you so much." "Do not thank me yet. There will be work to do, glasses to clean, drinks to serve. It is not exciting, but it is honest." "I don't care about exciting. I just want to be safe." Nodded. "You will be safe here, I promise." Weeks later, men came looking for. They were large and armed and confident, employed by her former owner to retrieve his property. They entered the bar during business hours, pushing customers aside. "We're looking for a runaway," the leader said. "Young woman, thin, probably hiding in this area. You seen her." Continued cleaning glasses. "Many young women come through here. I cannot keep track of them all." "Don't play games with us. We know she's here. Hand her over and there won't be trouble." Set down the glass. She walked around the counter and stood facing the men. She was small compared to them, barely reaching their chests. "There will be no trouble," she agreed, "because you are going to leave now." The leader laughed. "Do you know who we work for? Do you know what we can do to this place?" "I know exactly who you work for. A man named who runs an illegal mining operation using forced labor. A man who has violated countless laws and harmed countless people." Her voice was calm and quiet. "I also know what I am. And I suspect if you are smart, you know it too." The leader's confidence flickered. He looked at his companions. They shifted uncomfortably. "The stories are true," continued. "I am the Reaper. I destroyed ships during the war. I killed soldiers who thought they were unbeatable. I did things that still give people nightmares 15 years later." She stepped closer to the leader. "But I am trying to be different now. I am trying to protect people instead of hurting them. That young woman you are looking for is under my protection, and you will not touch her." The leader swallowed hard. "Our employer won't like this. He has resources, he has connections." "Then tell him to come himself. Tell him the Reaper is waiting. And tell him that if he sends more men after this girl, I will start hunting him." She smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "I retired from that work, but I remember how to do it, and I would be happy to remind your employer why the galaxy learned to fear my name." The men left. They did not return. Himself fled his mining operation 3 days later, after receiving a message that convinced him the Reaper was serious. He was eventually captured by authorities and brought to justice for his crimes. Cried when she heard the news. She hugged tightly, thanking her over and over. Accepted the embrace awkwardly. She was not used to physical affection, but something warm stirred in her chest, something she had not felt in a very long time. Perhaps this was redemption. Perhaps this was purpose. Perhaps this was the life she had been searching for without knowing it. She returned to the counter and picked up her cloth, was already organizing glasses, was learning to work the register. A few regular customers sat at their usual tables. The quiet corner hummed with gentle activity. The lights were warm, the music was soft, the atmosphere was peaceful. Outside, ships came and went in the endless dance of commerce and travel. Stars burned their ancient fires in the darkness. The galaxy spun on, indifferent to the small dramas playing out within it. Stood behind her bar and watched it all. She was not the weapon anymore. She was not the Reaper. She was something else now, something she was still learning to understand. A protector, a refuge, a second chance for those who needed one. She picked up a glass and began to clean it. Her hands were steady. Her mind was quiet. For the first time in many years, she felt something close to contentment. The past would always be part of her. The blood on her hands would never wash away. But the future was still unwritten, and she intended to fill it with different stories. Stories of protection instead of destruction. Stories of healing instead of harm. Stories of hope instead of fear. The Reaper tended her bar. Humanity's most feared poured drinks and waited for closing time. And in the quiet corner of a forgotten station, she began to build a new legend. One cup at a time. One life at a time. One day at a time. Until the end.